This happened for about 2 years, beginning in 2017. My father was very ill. He was diagnosed with a liver cancer stage, and he had a low platelets count, so whenever he lost blood, he'd bleed a lot more than a normal healthy person would. We were having a hard time at home and I had to stop working to take care of him, since my mom became the main provider along with my older sister. It was around this time, first months after leaving my job and the end of my father's treatment, that I kept seeing this figure. First, I saw them standing close to his bedside. It was all dark. Dark hair, dark clothes and dark shadow-like figure. It just stood there, looking at my dad who was fast asleep. It scared me so much, I felt a sense of dread that I've never experienced before. I thought I was hallucinating somehow, since the lights were off, and everything was dark. I never told him nor my mother about it. The second time I saw them, it had been about 3 months since the first apparition. My father was doing bad. He was getting worse every day, and after one of his appointments he went to sleep while I went to prepare something for him to eat. He was very depressed and having problems eating. When I went to his room, I again saw the figure, but this time they were sat at the end of the bed and looking straight to my dad again. I remember freezing and feeling like I was going to throw up. I don't remember what I did exactly, but I do remember turning the lights on and the thing not being there. The third time my father was awake, he was still very weak but much better. He was watching some TV when I saw the thing standing behind his chair. It was no more than a shadow under the screen light and my father didn't acknowledge it. Again, I felt such fear, I almost screamed. After that I began seeing it everywhere. He was, but never if I was in direct contact with my dad, only when caught by surprise. It never actively bothered us, never stomped through the house, never tormented me or my family, only watched him, which for me was worse than it being nasty. It felt like a bad omen. I tried banishing it, protecting my dad with spells, asking for the thing to leave whenever I was alone in the house. It made me feel insecure and afraid for my dad. But none of this ever worked. It stopped appearing about 2 months before my father had been told he was cured and cancer-free. I sometimes wonder if it was a reaper or something. I guess I will really never have the guts to tell him about it. It all started 4 years ago when I started teaching at an alternative school about 40 minutes from where I live. It's out in the middle of nowhere and housed in a mostly abandoned larger school that was built right next to a very old cemetery. We used the first 5 rooms and the rest of the school lay mostly unused. The main part of the building was over 100 years old in some parts and it was just built onto over the years. When I first arrived at the school, the principal would make jokes about the ghosts that lived there, but it was mostly in the context of going, "Oh, don't misbehave kids, or the ghost is gonna get ya." So, I just dismissed it until one night I stayed late at the school to paint my classroom door. It was November, I believe, so it was when the sun went down early, so around 6:30 most of the building was dark and I was alone in the building. The door was open, and I was just painting away unafraid. For about 30 minutes to an hour I had been hearing a rather rhythmic banging noise coming from the lockers in the hallway outside my classroom. At first I didn't think much of it, I just assumed it was some rat shuffling around in there, as this was common, but for some reason I couldn't explain. I thought about the ghost, and suddenly I realized that the noise was way too regular to be a rat. So, I stopped and stepped into the hallway. "Hello," I called, absolutely sure it had to be a person I didn't know was there. As soon as the last syllable left my lips, the noise went from a rhythmic bang went to all out, very fast and hard. Freaked me out, but I was sure there was an explanation. So, I stood there and listened to hear it again to prove it was a coincidence and not a response. I stood there for a solid 5 minutes listening and heard nothing, so I said, "Is someone there?" And again, as soon as I finished saying it, there comes the banging again, clearly the sound of someone banging on the lockers. At this point again I'm 100% sure there must be some reasonable explanation, so I waited and again heard nothing despite been hearing it non-stop before this. At this point I should have just left, but my only explanation is that I'm a dumb white girl. After waiting the longest time yet, My heart hammering, I said, "Are you a ghost?" Banging noise response. At this point I was about to shit myself, but I have really bad death anxiety and I figured this was a chance I wasn't going to get again to prove an afterlife. I asked, "Are you a good ghost?" Dead ass silence. I asked, "Do you want to hurt me?" And got the craziest response yet. I screamed, dropped my paint on the floor and took off running down the hallway towards the exit at the front. I left my phone, my wallet, my keys. Honestly, I'm not sure what my plan was. But as I ran down the hallway, the banging followed me up the hallway just behind me, banging on the lockers. I made to run out the door only to notice that the front office had a light on, and my principal and another teacher were in there taking. I burst through the door scared out of my mind and about gave them a heart attack. The principal screamed, "What's wrong?" And I went, "Mr. there is a ghost in here." And he went, "Yeah, I know, I told you there was." And I went, "Yeah, but I thought you were joking." After calming down and telling them what happened, he walked me back to my classroom to get my stuff. After walking out towards my car that was parked on the side, we split up. The moment he drove away, the banging started again on the AC unit that was near my car. I've never spun out of a parking lot so fast in my life. Over the years I taught, there were incidents of children laughing, heavy boxes flying off shelves, teachers having their name called, chairs flying across rooms, etc. And even a corporeal woman wearing an old-timey dress standing out by the dumpsters. I will never say people who believe in ghosts are lying ever again. Thank you for watching till the end. If you like this video and want more future videos weekly, make sure to subscribe and ring the notification bell. And don't forget to hit the like button. Wish you a spooky night.